Hello, everyone. With you, Lala Gomez, and I want to teach you how to download your birth chart. I know that many people are so interested in learning the basics of astrology, and you would like to understand when astrologists talk about the new moon, the full moon, in which houses are these moons happening, etc. So we need to start by the basics, right? Which is to download a birth chart. Now, one page that I suggest because it's very simple is astroseek.com. Astro/seek.com. So then you go here where it says birth chart, okay? The free horoscopes birth chart. Click here. By the way, this page is super interesting. For example, it's talking about the Capricorn moon. Today we have the new moon in Capricorn. If you play here in the current planets, it will show you what is happening today in the skies, but that's for maybe some of the more advanced students of astrology. So here in the birth chart, we are going to type the details. I'm going to add mine, okay? So, in the date of birth, day, month, year, the timing is very important. Without a timing, you won't be able to download the houses. So, you will only have the planet placements, but there is high chances of the moon not being in the correct position because the moon moves super fast. So, let's say that without the houses, you are going to get probably only 30% of the chart, and then you need to add the city. Okay, what most of the people sometimes they don't know is the exact timing. And here we have a chart. Okay, this is the birth chart. I'm not talking about transits here. I'm not talking about solar revolutions, just your birth chart. Okay, and this is a symbolic language. You have the signs outside. Here you have, so it's very important that you learn the symbols. Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, and Leo. Okay, and then you have the houses. You have house 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12. You have the 4 cardinal points: ASC, the ascendant, IC, DSC, the descendant, and MC. The ASC, or the ascendant, the rising sign, is the cusp or the beginning of the house 1. The IC is the cusp or the beginning of house 4. The DSC, or the descendant, is the cusp of the house 7. And the MC is the cusp of the house 10. So what does that mean and why these are so important? The cusp of the ascendant here, for example, is in Virgo. Even though most of the house is in Libra, if I, I'm going to expand, zoom in this, you'll see here the degree 28 of Virgo is the rising sign. So even if most of the house is in Libra, the cusp, which is the beginning of the house, is in Virgo. I am rising in Virgo in the degree 28. The same with the cusp of the IC. The IC is the beginning or the cusp of the house 4, is in the degree 28 of Sagittarius, even though most of the house is in Capricorn. The DC is on the 28 degrees of Pisces, even though most of the house is in Aries. And the MC, the cusp, is in the 28th degree of Gemini, even if most of the house is in Cancer. The ascendant or the rising sign, the house one, is how I show myself to the world, my personality. How I show myself to the world, I come out with the Virgo energy. How or what do I get from my family, my roots, is in the degree 28 of Sagittarius. This is what I bring from my family. The DC is what I get from the other, from my interactions with the other in the degree 28 of Pisces. And what I give to the world through my vocation and service to the public life is on the 28th degree of Gemini. Now, these 4 points are super important because they mark how I interact with the world, how I show myself, what I inherit from my family, or how I live my home experience, what I get from others in partnerships, and how I interact or give in my public life. When we talk about the ascendant or the rising, we're talking pretty much about the personality. The IC is my experience of my family. The DC with my partners, business or relationships. And MC talks a lot about my career or my vocation, what I come to do to the world. The the AC or the ascendant is a point of future. I learned to integrate this energy. The DC is more passive, is what I receive from the environment. The MC is what how I prepare myself to serve to the public or to the world, but I get inspired or pushed from the IC, which is what I receive from my family. So this is a very important uh, thing to analyze in a birth chart. Okay, now we need to look at the planets. Okay, so the planets here we see first of all that we need to learn the symbols. As we do with the signs, we need to learn the symbols here. So this is the south node, and 180 degrees exact, we will have the north node. It's a very important point in the birth chart. It's the path of the soul. Then we have, I'm gonna start with the personal planets. This is the sun, the moon, which is more clear. This is Venus, Mercury, and Mars. Okay? And then we have the social planets, Saturn and Jupiter. Okay? And then we have the transpersonal, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. These are other two important points, Chiron and Lilith, and the point of fortune. 180 degrees exact from the point of fortune, which will be here around the degree 16 of Scorpio, will be the contrary, okay, the misfortune point. So, what does the sun says about me? It is my identity. The moon is my emotional world, okay? My Mercury, how I communicate. Venus, how I love. Mars, how I action, how I go for what I desire. Saturn, my structure. Jupiter, how I expand. Uranus, how I reinvent myself. Neptune, where I transcend. Okay, and Pluto, how I transform. The North Node is the path of my soul, what my soul comes to learn in this incarnation. South Node, what I come from past lives, karmic lessons. Chiron, an area of my life that hurts a lot and where I become a healer. Lilith, where I break structures, where women of my ancestry line were silenced. Point of fortune, it's a mathematical point that indicates in an area where I will have good luck if I can redeem the point of misfortune, which is the maximum charge of karma that I bring from other timelines. And the vertex is a point that talks about important people that are, or important situations that I meet by destiny. Okay, there are much more things that we can analyze in a birth chart, but these are the basics. Okay, so when you hear, if you see here, where is the sun? Is in a Scorpio, in the house 2. Where is the moon? Is in Aries, in the house 7. Where is Mercury? In a Scorpio, in the house 2. Venus in a Scorpio, in the house 2. Mars in Aquarius, in the house 5. Saturn in the house 3, in Sagittarius. Jupiter is in the house 6, in Pisces. Uranus in the house 3, in Sagittarius. Neptune in the house 4, in Capricorn. And Pluto in the house 2, in Scorpio. North Node in Aries, in house 7. Chiron and Lilith in, bueno, Chiron is in Gemini, in the house 9. And Lilith in Gemini, but already in the house 10 because he's together with the MC line, which is the cusp or the beginning of the house 10. Okay, that's basic. So this is when you hear, oh, where do you have, in which house do you have your planet? Then you need to look at the number in here in the internal part. Which sign? You need to learn the signs. And of course, you need to learn the planet symbols as well. Now, when they ask you in which degree do you have your planet, look at the numbers that are next to the planets and that they have the symbol of degree. The sun, I have it in the degree 19th. These are the seconds, but we are going to ignore them. Just get with the degree symbol. The degree 19th of Scorpio. The rising sign is in the degree 28th of Virgo. The moon is in the degree 1 of Aries. Mars is in the degree 20th of Aquarius, etc. These are the degrees. Why their degrees are important? Because when they tell you there is a conjunction of the moon today in Capricorn in the degree 28th of Capricorn, you need to know what is the degree 28th of Capricorn. So maybe it's together with one, is touching one of your planets, maybe not. In my case, it's not touching the moon of today. The new moon is not touching any planet, but is in the beginning, in the cusp of the house 5. Why? How do I count degrees so that I know where a new moon is falling? So very simple. Let's take the house, the symbol of Leo, which is clear here. This is 5 degrees, 5 degrees, 5 degrees, 5 degrees, 5 degrees, 5 degrees. The degrees go from 0 to 29, meaning 30 degrees in total. The first 5 degrees, the second, the 15, the 10th degree, the 15th degree, the 20th degree, and the 25th degree, and the 29th degree here. So in the middle, you have, of course, 0, the beginning, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so when they tell you in which house you will have the new moon or the full moon or whatever transit is happening, we are going to look at the degrees. Okay, for example, we are having a very important transit of in February of Neptune and Saturn in conjunction in degree 0 of Aries. I need to see what is Aries in the house 7 in the degree 0. So it's going to be here in this line. And this is falling in my house 7, for example. And the interpretation, well, that comes with experience, listening to different astrologists or taking a course about it. But this is for beginners, the basics that you need to know, how to read your birth chart. Here on the side, you have the symbols: the sun, the moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter. This website is very interesting because here at the bottom you have a basic generated interpretation of the birth chart, which is quite helpful. It explains to you what is an ascendant in Virgo. Then it will tell you, like, okay, the ruler of Virgo is Mercury, so you go. Then the 10th house is in Gemini. And what are the meanings of this? So you can have let's say, a basic interpretation of your birth chart using this website. I hope that this video was useful to you, and I'll see you in the next occasion.